Welcome, everybody, to another episode of A Case of the Mondays, the Salty Nerd Podcast Monday night live stream where we get to talk to interesting people. I am your host, Alex, and I'm here every week, as always. Thank you so much for joining us. Matt Vader's in the chat already. There's a downvote. That's awesome. I love downvotes. They're hilarious. It looks like our guest tonight is having some issues on his end, so we will chit-chat until he gets here. So this is an open forum. Vader asked me some questions so I can fill some airtime. Stupid time zones. You know what's really messed up about that, Ro, is that sir, this guy's a local to Las Vegas, so there is no time zone difference. It says I can add him at any moment, but he is not in the studio. Science Fictionary is in the house. Thank you guys for stopping by. Thanks so much. There he is. Boom.
Hello.
The man himself is wearing the same shirt I am. That's amazing.
Representing.
That's awesome. Yes. Everybody, welcome to the show. Chuck Fisher. He is the man behind the Joker's voice, a cosplayer, Las Vegas local bartender, and one of our street level Salty Nerd podcast members. He goes out to all the cons for us and shills for the podcast. We appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
How you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing okay. Normally I'm usually asleep by this time, but I made an exception just for you guys.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I know you were excited. Me and you fight about the Star Wars prequels a lot, so I think that's what a majority of the conversation is going to be about tonight. Well,
I mean, there really is no fight. I mean, a fight implies that both of us have a chance to win. It's just
We'll get there. But first, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is actually a common interest that we have is voice acting and or voice narration. And tell me, so have you actually worked on projects? Or are you still working up to that level? Have you been? What's your involvement?
I like to say that I am the typical Hollywood cliche. I'm a bartender, but really I'm an actor. So I work that trope quite well.
There you go.
Presently, I'm a cast in a independent animated project that just recently got fully funded, so we're gonna be moving forward on that pretty soon. It's based off of if you know, like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon type of stuff. It's inspired by that, and there's an actual game involved in this. And if anybody is interested in this, check it out. You can go to dspiritsonline.com. That's DSPIRITS online.com, and you can get access to the game and how the game works, and soon there'll be a animated series coming soon.
Nice. Okay, so you're a voice in the game itself. Is like a mobile app or an actual game?
I am going to be a voice in the cartoon based on this game. Yes.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome. So give me a little background. What's this show going to be about? I know you said it was like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, which it kind of puts like an anime picture in my head.
Very much so.
Is it the same, like you're domesticating monsters and fighting, dog fighting with them? Okay.
You throw, the person throws out a card, and then their little monster shows up, and I'm actually one of the monsters. I'm actually a trading card.
Oh, that's your own trading card?
Yes, that's the character I'm playing is called Gangert.
Gangert.
Yes, and he's one of the larger of these D-spirits. Kind of a mix between an electric eel and a dragon.
Okay. Electric eel and a dragon. Nice. So what is that? Give us a soundbite. What does he sound like? Or are you allowed to do that? I don't know what the
I don't think Sterling will mind too much. It's the guy who the content creator, his name is Sterling. He's based out of Atlanta. So I actually asked him before going on here. I was like, is there anything I can't say? He's like, no, talk away. I'm like, all right, cool.
Right on.
So Gangert, he's a very large creature, so he doesn't move very fast. He was kind of slow, cumbersome, but very powerful. So he kind of talks like this.
Okay.
Talks in third person. Gangert the greatest. Gangert the strongest.
All right. So kind of your typical big hulking mass of a person. Okay, I got you. Right.
Basically, yes.
That's cool. What kind of powers does he have? You said electric eel and dragon. Where are we leaning for?
He's basically a walking power plant. So he can absorb electrical energy from wherever he's at, and store it and then discharge it. And basically can knock out an entire field by himself.
Okay, cool. What's his weaknesses?
He's slow.
He's very slow. Okay,
Very slow.
right on. Is he like, so if he works with like electricity and energy and stuff like that, is water one of his weaknesses as well? Is that how that works, or?
I don't think we've really explored that, and don't give my content creator any ideas now.
Right on. So if it got fully funded, so tell me, how did you get involved in this? Did you audition on like voices.com or something like that, or did you just know the right people?
My whole little journey was quite interesting. I've been told that I make funny voices all the time, do little impressions here and there, yada yada yada. And I finally decided, maybe this is something I want to jump into, but I just never knew where to start. So I've always been a big fan of cartoons and animation, and I started off following Jess Harnell, who was the voice of Wacko on the Animaniacs.
Oh, okay, yep.
And he was doing a contest to be on stage with him at the Salt Lake Comic-Con doing a Twisted Tunes type show. And if you've ever seen a Twisted Tunes, it's where a bunch of the voice actors get up on stage and they read scripts from pop culture films, and every few pages they'll change up and they'll play different. They'll read lines as different characters that they've done. So I figured, why not? I got nothing to lose, so I auditioned and I won one of the spots.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
right.
So I was reading from The Princess Bride. I was reading as the Joker, Princess Buttercup.
Princess Buttercup. Okay, so you were playing Princess, like Fawn Boy, like that thing, but
yes. as Wesley, whatever can you find it in your heart to forgive me?
That's hilarious. So how many people were you in front of? Was it like a huge crowd?
Oh, it's done in the main hall, the main hall of the Salt Palace. So there was about 4,000 people there.
Wow, 4,000 people. Was this your first time ever doing any kind of voice acting, like in front of 4,000 people?
In front of 4,000 people, sure, but I'd done public speaking in my teen years and stuff. So
okay,
so being in front of
cool.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Right on. In front of, I don't know what I would do in front of 4,000 people. I mean, I've done public speaking before, but it's usually like maybe 100 to 120. It's never been that many people. That's pretty crazy. Who else was on the panel with you? Was there a bunch of other people who like auditioned for it, or were there like major actors?
A bunch of other amateurs. So we all got our shot to kind of be up on stage and
nice.
be with Jess. And I actually interacted directly with Jess. He was doing his impression of Cartman. So
nice. Who was he playing? Was he playing Wesley?
Well, Wesley, yes.
Okay, so you guys were playing opposite each other. That's awesome.
Yes.
Right on. So just to get the elephant out of the room, so you do struggle with the stutter. How does that work as far as
noticed?
A little bit, yeah. How does that work as far as being a voice actor and dealing with that kind of a thing? Do you struggle with it? How do you beat it? Is there certain techniques that you have that you might want to share with somebody else who struggles with it?
Sure. I would mostly where it comes from is, first off, for those of you who don't interact with people who stutter very much, it's very much my brain moves way faster than my vocal cords do. So the signal gets a little short circuit and air just doesn't pass through as freely as someone who speaks normally.
Okay.
So as far as like, say for me, if we're doing impressions, it's actually can be kind of easy because just like stutterers never stutter when they sing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
But doing impressions, it kind of has that same rhythm, that same cadence. Every voice has a beat to it. So like say Yogi Bear, you would think, yeah, I'm smarter than the average bear. Hey, boy. Marvin the Martian has the same thing. Oh, you've made me angry. Oh, so very angry.
I haven't heard Marvin the Martian in freaking forever, dude.
I know, right? It's a great voice. It's a great voice. And it's a shame that the new redone Looney Tunes that they had on HBO Max, the guy who had to do Marvin was just terrible.
I haven't watched it.
Don't.
It's always weird. Like you get so connected with voice actors in these cartoon characters, like for decades, or as you're growing up, you're watching the same show, you're watching reruns, you're watching the same episodes over and over again. You get that person in your head, and then when they recast it, it just never works.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
as somebody who might potentially be in a position to like voice a character someday, I'm like a legacy character. I don't know how would I approach that. You can't even try to like fill the shoes of another person. You just have to hope that it's passable for like the next generation who is not like as into it as the older generation is. It's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah, what was it? Because the Maurice LaMarche actually talked about this because he was Inspector Gadget for a long time, but he was not the first one. The first one was Don Adams.
Mm-hmm.
So he said it was a bit of a challenge to fill those shoes, but he did a good enough impression of Don Adams being Inspector Gadget that.
Yeah. Typically, like people, I don't want to say typically, but a lot of the times people will lean towards more like the impression thing. Like I want to sound just like the characters always sounded from the original actor. I think the on-screen presence of actors who jump into like the role of Batman or the role of Joker, like each one, they kind of want to make it their own thing,
right?
To avoid that nostalgia from the older crowd.
Yeah, there are some. What was it? Kevin Michael Richardson did a brief run as Joker in one of the Batman animated series, and then for a Batman film, Under the Red Hood, it was John DiMaggio.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, they go with, if Mark Hamill's not available, they go with Troy Baker, who does probably the closest Mark Hamill Joker that you'll hear.
Yeah. $5 super chat from Backyard TARDIS. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate the support. As always, Nick, you were the man. He says, what's strange is when they recast a similar voice for years and then suddenly do it completely different. Like it's like they bring in a different producer and he's like, throw the old stuff out. Let's start new or something like that.
Right. And you get that with the reboots and stuff because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a great example of that. I mean, the legend Rob Paulson, who was the original Raphael. In the newer iteration of the animated series, he's Donatello. And it's a completely different voice. So
yeah,
for everything.
That's crazy to think about. I love watching voice actors work. Like they do the behind the scenes stuff where they're
oh my god,
it's so much fun because they get so into it. You never really get to see that. What you see is the character.
That's gonna come into our later discussion too. So
oh great, okay, cool. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love watching those videos online where we get to see the behind the scenes stuff of these actors get into it. I know there was one with Kevin Conroy, who obviously is like the voice of Batman from the animated series. We are not worthy. We are not worthy. He was doing a scene. I think it might have been from Mask of the Phantasm, and he actually started to like break down and cry. I think it was the scene where he was at the cemetery for his parents.
Yes,
for Bruce Wayne's parents, and just the while he was acting, while he was doing that scene, and he was in a booth by himself with a microphone, but he was like weeping. It was like, oh my gosh, dude, these people get so into it. I love watching that stuff. It's so cool.
It's another thing. Speaking of Kevin, he'll be at a con, and there'll be other, celebrity, and their tables they got their smattering of line. I think. Oh, thank you, Vader. So, squirrel. So, and Kevin's line will just be long, just huge, and like every half an hour, he'll just stand up and go, "I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman." And the entire floor just erupts.
I have a funny story about this. So my producer, Matthew Kadish, who helps produce the podcast that we do.
I heard he used to work in Hollywood.
Yeah, he used to work in Hollywood. He sent me a video of Kevin Conroy doing his voice and saying, "I am salty. I am a nerd. I am a salty nerd." And you're listening to the Salty Nerd Podcast. I have that video. When he first sent it to me, dude, I started to well up. I couldn't believe it, man. That's my Batman is talking about me and my silly little podcast. I freaking lost it, dude. If I ever met that guy, I'd be so starstruck. It wouldn't even be funny.
Okay, so at the Salt Lake Con that I went to, when I got Rob to do that little shout out for you guys, I want to ask you, what was your reaction to seeing and hearing Rob?
Oh, it was amazing, dude. I love that stuff. Like, these are people that so nostalgic for me to watch people or listen to the voice that I've heard for years growing up. Like you listen to Pinky and the Brain. Oh my God, dude, I watch that freaking show all the time. Animaniacs. I watch that freaking show
Yes.
all the time. So you hear these voices, I don't necessarily know what they look like. If I pass them in the hallway, I'm not as in depth as you are. I don't know the actors by face.
Right.
But if I'm listening to that, I watch that video and I'm like, oh my God, dude, that's that guy. Like,
Yes.
I grew up watching him or listening to him in cartoons and stuff like that. And now he's talking about me. Like, it's a weird, surreal thing. Like, these people that you never thought would ever even know you existed are now talking about your content or talking about whatever it is. It's so cool. I love it.
That's awesome. And actually, one of the best moments from that con was right next to Rob's booth was Caitlin Robrick, and she's the new voice of Minnie Mouse.
Oh, nice.
And so there's a mom walking her little daughter in her stroller, and the mom goes, "Hey, look, hi," and then Caitlin just on cue just starts talking to her as her character, and the little girl's face just lights up, and it is just the most amazing, heartwarming scene.
That's cool. It'd be awesome. Like, I don't expect this to happen to me, but if I ever do get a gig where I'm actually a character in a video game or something like that, if I could ever do that for somebody, I think it would be a ton of fun. I know I watched, I think it was the actress who plays Bart Simpson.
Oh yeah,
was walking around and like introducing herself to people, and nobody knew who she was. Like, you're not Bart Simpson, and she would do the voice, and it was like it would click in their heads. Like, oh my gosh, that's actually you. It's so freaking cool. I love voice acting is such a awesome profession, and sometimes
underrated.
I do think that voice actors who are in a booth by themselves with nothing but a microphone and are pulling off like fantastic performances are in many ways more talented than people who are actually able to react to scenarios with fellow actors, like a stage play or something like that. Just because we're going to talk about the prequels in a little bit, but that's the first thing I go to is like when an actor is just completely surrounded by green screen, it's very difficult to pull off a convincing scene
when you're not acting against anything.
Yeah, when you're not acting. Voice actors do that every single day.
Interesting point. It's a very cute cartoon called DC Superhero Girls. And there's an episode where it's primarily Batgirl and Harley Quinn.
Mm.
Well, that's voiced by the same person, the amazing Tara Strong. And so I'm just imagining her in the booth playing off herself for the entire duration of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy, dude. The people are so insanely talented. I know when I was like in between jobs, when COVID first hit, I jumped into voices.com when I was doing auditions for different parts and stuff like that. And it's not easy, man. Like, I'm not trained or anything. I have no training whatsoever. I'm just kind of jumping in this with whatever talent I might actually have. And it was funny to, like, I would nitpick the crap out of my own audio. Like, I'd record it. I'd do the scene. I'd listen to it like 6 times and I'd be like, no, that sucks, and go back and do it again. I would spend hours on one audition just because I didn't feel like I was getting it quite right. So I just, like, people who do it as a profession, people who get the freaking first take done, like, hey, this is your lines, and they just go for it. Like, again, not worthy.
Yes,
I am not worthy.
Yeah, so there's voices.com. There's also castingcallclub.com, which is another big voice acting site. And if there's any agents out there.
Right on. Speaking of which, so how did the voice that you're most famous for, to me, of course, and it's your namesake online, the Joker's voice. How did you tap into that voice? What was it about that where you realized, like, hey, I can do a pretty decent Joker?
I was actually my second ex-wife. I've had 2. I was playing with her daughter, and she had these little figurines and everything, and one was the Joker, and she was playing with the Harley Quinn, and I just went, "Oh, hello, Harley," and everyone was like, "Oh my God," and I'm like, "What?" And like, "You sound just like Mark Hamill." I'm like, "I'm just being me, but thank you." So it just kind of grew from that, and I can actually the fun part of me doing Jokers, I can switch in and out of that. No training or no talent. Okay, great.
He's talking about me.
Okay, thanks.
Frickin' Vader in the chat, dumping some salt on us.
All right,
losers.
What's up with this guy? So is I can go, because I've done it so many times, I can actually think in Joker speak. So
That's
I
awesome.
can just come in like this all the time. And why, what are you talking about? I always talk this way.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is. It's very convincing. I know the first time you showed it to us when we met in person, I was like, dang, dude, it's friggin' on point. Like the Mark Hamill version of the Joker is by far the one that I go to. It's I am not worthy. It's funny. Like every time Mark Hamill is in another show, like he recently did He-Man, he was Skeletor. Not a great show, but when he did Skeletor, all I could hear was just like a calmer version of Joker.
Right.
So
and then he was also, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
And then he was also one of the Skeksis in the Dark Crystal series.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't watched those yet. Dark Crystal was never like my thing, so I didn't check it out. I'm if somebody can tell me why I should watch it, I might go watch it.
Puppets, lots of puppets.
I'm not into puppets. I don't know.
Oh, come on!
I didn't like the Labyrinth either.
What?
No.
Why? How are we friends?
I don't know. But anyway, we was talking about Mark Hamill. I have a hard. The only time I don't hear Joker when Mark Hamill talks is when he's playing Luke Skywalker.
Right.
Like that's the only voice that he can do where I'm like that's Joker.
Exactly.
It's crazy. But yeah, he's his Joker is fantastic. I remember him. I listened to an interview with him when he was talking about how he got casted as the Joker, and he went into this, and he's like, the first thing the production crew told me was like, don't do Jack Nicholson.
Right.
Like we don't want that. This is a completely different Joker, and he like went off and did his own thing, which I think is fantastic. It's one of those things that's like it's gonna go down in history as one of the best Joker freaking voices ever.
I've said this, and I'll say it to this day. Mark Hamill is the best Joker of all time.
Yep. He is. I completely agree. No argument there. Which Joker is your favorite live action?
I would probably say Ledger, probably.
Okay.
You want to see a magic trick? I'm going to make this pencil disappear. Ta-da! And it's gone.
Yeah. He was a freaking amazing Joker.
Yes.
It's really tragic what happened to him because I always wonder, I'm like, would they have made more? Would he have been in the next movie? Or would there have been a legacy of Heath Ledger Joker spin-offs or movies or anything like that? Like what would Christopher Nolan have done?
I would say that there probably would have been.
Yeah. He was such a huge part of the success of that movie.
Absolutely.
He was only, how old was he? He was in his 20s or something, I think, when he played that role.
Mid-20s, I think.
Yeah, it's insane to think about. Like a young 20-year-old kid doing one of the scariest versions of that character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so freaking cool. It's so awesome. What do you think about Jack Nicholson's? Because I know there's a bunch of Gen Xers and people who are older than me who grew up with Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and that to them is the end all be all. I watched it growing up. I saw the movie 1.5 million times, and I've never been that enthralled with that version of the character.
My take on Jack is he was just being Jack. So there wasn't really a lot of depth to his character or anything. It was just, he was just being himself. Mm-hmm. And coming from a director who we now know never read a Batman comic at all. So
I've never been a big fan of Tim Burton either.
I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, stuff like that has been great. I mean, there's never been I'm a Gen Xer. Heath Ledger's my favorite Joker. Oh, thank you, Vader. Good call. Yeah, squirrels are just distracting me here.
I gotta stop doing it. You're reading all my comments. That's cool. Okay, so let's see what's next. All right, let's get into cosplay because I know the thumbnail for this video is you completely dressed up as cosplay. Did the voice acting and this Joker voice that you found when you were just hanging out with your family merge into the cosplay? How did that happen?
Kind of, because I'm kind of a big personality, so I kind of like to play characters. And what my roommate and I, he also cosplays. He cosplays as the Bat, And whenever we've gone out together, we play off each other the entire time. So
Nice.
and he does that more Christian Bale, Joker, I'm gonna take you in kind of thing. So
Yeah.
and so we got that and me playing off each other the whole time. And for me, it's just a lot of fun. So I've also done like John Constantine, which is a fun one to do because you can just be a real dick in a British accent. It's awesome.
Okay. There's a character, I gotta grow my beard out a little bit longer, but there's a character from The Boys, Billy Butcher.
Oh,
that I think I might be able to pull it off. When the show was out and I was watching it every day, I had his voice down. I could pull it. It was so much fun. I was having a good time with it.
Carl Urban.
I freaking love Carl Urban, dude. He's so cool.
Actually, a Carl Urban movie role is my next big cosplay for next year.
Yeah, what is it? Or are you
saying Dread?
Ah, nice, dude. That is the best freaking Dread movie.
Oh,
easily.
That's not even a question.
I do not understand how there is not a sequel to that freaking movie.
It didn't make a lot of my money. That's why.
Check this out. Salty just likes to call people the C word. That is true.
Well, you know,
I find it upsetting that Americans are so shy with that because my favorite people in the world, Australians, say it all the time. Like, it's no big deal. Those are my people. It's a good word. It needs to be used more often. I've never actually dabbled in cosplay. I did a little bit when I was younger. We had like pirate parties back when the Pirates of the Caribbean movies came out, and I could do a freaking this has been freaking 10, 15 years, but I can do a spot on Johnny Depp impression from Pirates. Like I was in, dude. I had the voice. It was all gravelly, and I had the freaking sway, and I had the cadence. It's been a long time since I've done it. I'm probably out of practice, but I did that when I was younger, and then
like riding a bike, dude. You just watch the movie once, and it'll be right back. You'll be right back to it.
I can still remember all the lines from the movie. Like I could probably quote that freaking movie line for line, but it's something that I'm always like, could I get into it, or would I feel ridiculous? Is there any shame at all when you're walking out there?
Oh God, no!
You're completely you're in white makeup with green hair. You're just in, huh?
Oh, I'm all the way in. All the way in. Yeah, and I've usually my cosplays, I'm in a face or a makeup. At the Salt Lake Con, I dabbled in something more, into a more extensive Star Wars. Any KOTOR fans out there will know who Darth Nihilus is.
Mm-hmm.
So that was involved this thing.
Oh, look at that. That's dope. Did you make that?
No, it's
okay.
Amazon.com, and then I got the tunic, the hood. We capped off the hood to make it square to fit his face.
Okay.
Gloves, the whole nine. So, yeah, not the most practical costume to walk around a crowded building in.
A little warm.
There was a little warm, and I can only see it right here.
Yeah. I have a Mandalorian helmet that I've always wanted to, like, if
Saltalorian, yes.
Yeah, Saltalorian. You guys know him from the Star Trek convention. Yeah. I've always wanted to take the time to get into like the foam building of the armor and make it like legit and do the whole get up and then put that helmet on and go do so. I think that would be cool. I think I feel better if I was underneath the helmet. I don't know what it is about just being it. Like it makes you feel like you're a different person when you put a helmet on and there's a barrier between you.
Completely.
Yeah. There was a guy at the Star Trek convention that was a cosplayer. He came by every single day. And there was one day he showed up, no shirt. He had like tight, like a onesie on or something like that. His nipples were out for all display. And I was just like,
that the Hawkman guy?
The Hawkman guy. Yeah. He was,
I actually saw him at Salt Lake.
Did you really? He just travels the country and does freaking cosplay.
I guess so.
That's amazing, dude. I think he said he was like an electrical engineer or something like that. But yeah, that guy had no shame whatsoever. I think that's a common thread with a lot of cosplayers. They're like, whatever, man, I'm just having fun. Let's go for it.
Right. And that's a lot of what cosplay is. I mean, a lot of, for the general layperson, it's about having fun, expressing the characters that you love. But then when there are the people who do it for like a living and this is their job and they market themselves, really being truer to the character is kind of the best thing to do, because you wouldn't see me going out doing Conan. That's just not going to happen. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it takes. I know there's people who take that very seriously, especially as far as like fitness goes. Like if they're gonna go out there and be a character, they spend a year or more getting in just freaking top physical shape just so that
Oh
they
yeah,
can show up as like a freaking Spartan from 300 or something.
right.
I can't remember. I think it might have been New York. Yes, it was New York Comic Con, which just happened a couple weeks ago. There was a whole group, like easily 20 guys that were all Spartans up, like freaking ripped, 6-pack, everything.
And I'll
They had
bet it looked ridiculous. I'll bet it looked
they
ridiculous.
yeah, they had the formation down, like when
Oh,
the king like did the commands, they would all get with their shield with the freaking spear and everything. It was like, oh my
that's
gosh, dude, these guys
beautiful.
are freaking movie
Beautiful.
ready. It's awesome.
Beautiful.
It's so cool.
Speaking of
Sometimes,
that,
oh, go ahead,
okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so speaking of that, you mentioned the Mandalorian.
Mhm.
And season 1, the 7th and 8th episodes, where they're back on Navarro and they're trapped inside the bar, and all those stormtroopers are
Yeah,
out there. Cosplayers, all of them.
yeah, it was 501st, right?
501st.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so now each one of those guys, his costume is now set quality, so they can actually market their stuff at a premium price now.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I know we had a shout out to Ro who had the 501st at the Scarif Con when I went a couple years back, and they showed up, dude. It legit. It was movie quality, man. You walked up like, oh no, that's a stormtrooper. Like it wasn't like, oh, that's somebody in cosplay. No, that was a stormtrooper.
It's a stormtrooper, right? Exactly.
They had the voice modulator and everything. I was nerding out so hard, dude. It was so freaking cool. I love that stuff. It's one of those things, like if I ever actually am able to make the podcast my full-time gig and I have all this extra time where I'm not spending
the like button, but either way, guys, smash the like button.
Or go to saltynerdclub.com, join the club membership. It's a great community. If I can ever do this full time and I have a lot more spare time on my hands, like that's the kind of stuff I would strive to do, is if I could make like really high quality movie costumes and go and do stuff, even if it's just special events. I know we're going to be working very soon with a charity coming up pretty quick. That's all going to be like cosplay. They're going to go to a children's hospital and dress up as their characters and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm not going to be dressed up, but we're working with them and we're going to be promoting it. So it'll be a lot of fun, but it's something that I think would be really a lot of fun to do one day.
Right on. Very cool.
Speaking of 501st and Star Wars.
Oh, wow.
Let's fight, buddy. All right. Listen, man. Oh my gosh. I actually wanted to show something off to everybody. I bought this years ago when it first came out, the hardcover book. The original screenplay by George Lucas, where
pretty.
Luke Skywalker was an old man.
Mm-hmm.
Han Solo was a green alien. Everything was different. It's a really freaking cool read. It's really goofy, very very goofy, but it's fun.
Very cool.
It's one of my favorite.
I must admit, I'm kind of jealous right now.
I bought it. I kept it super nice, and I'm hoping like 50 years from now it might be worth something.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. But anyway, so I love George Lucas. The man is a genius when it comes to storytelling and when it comes to creating a universe. What he struggles with, and I think this is self-admitted, is the small time, the dialogue, the personal interactions and stuff like that. So for me, growing up, I was the ripe age of 10 when The Phantom Menace came out.
Right.
And I watched that movie.
You were about the same age as Jake Lloyd.
Yes. I was the target demographic for that movie, 100%. And I remember growing up with it, and I loved it when I was growing up. The thing I like to tell people, kind of my take on Star Wars, is like I watched the original trilogy all my life. Like it was always around. It was on VHS, whatever. I went and saw them in theaters when they came out for the theatrical re-releases in the 90s.
Right.
And those movies aged with me. Like the older I got, the more I appreciated those movies. I cannot say the same thing about the prequels. So growing up, I watched the prequels. I loved them. But as I got older, the cracks started to show, and I liked them less and less. To nowadays, I can't remember the last time I actually watched the prequels. Like, I'll throw the old trilogy on once in a while and have a good time with it. I can't remember the last time I watched the prequels. It might have been for the podcast a couple of years ago. They're just not as good. I'm sorry. There's a lot of great ideas and concepts, and George, his art department was genius when they came up with ship designs and character designs like Darth Maul and stuff. But the story is just not there for me. It didn't age with me. So it really fell apart. I didn't find Anakin at all to be a sympathetic character. He was just kind of whiny and annoying. And then when he turned to the dark side, I was like, I didn't have that gut wrenching, like, oh no, Anakin. Like, I didn't like the guy, so I didn't really care.
Right.
So, and I know there's a lot of people out there who hate me for saying that, and I think you might be one of them. So go ahead, buddy. What's your take on the prequels?
I don't hate you for it, but you're just a little misguided, and that's fine. I'll tell you where I'll start with me, because I'm actually old enough that I saw. You spelled prequels wrong.
I did. Oh my god! I totally did.
I remember in 1977 when I was 6, seeing Star Wars for the very first time, and that is just one of the greatest experiences of my life. I mean, that kind of kickstarted my love of pop culture and sci-fi and everything.
Yeah.
I remember when the re-releases came out in the early 90s. Yep. And I'm like, okay, cool. Seeing the extra stuff that they added in there. We won't talk about the Jabba the Hutt scene at the Millennium Falcon. We'll just leave that one aside. But and then 1999 rolls around, 1998, and I see the commercial for the Phantom Menace, and it's just hits you right in the face, and it's like, whoa, this is so cool. Ships are flying everywhere, and then at the very end, you see Darth Maul with that second blade popping out, and it's just like, holy shit, what is that? And so,
it was exciting for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, I will also say that I was not the biggest fan of the prequels until I watched the Clone Wars, the animated series, and I can understand where some people do not like Anakin. You know, he doesn't like sand. It's coarse and rough, and
it gets everywhere.
Everywhere.
Best line in the freaking trilogy.
No. But this the Clone Wars, where it fills that 3-year gap. Because right when Attack of the Clone ends, we're in about 22 BBY, I believe. BBY for
Battle, before Battle of Yavin.
Correct.
Yep.
And so then it's mere months. It's a few months after that we get introduced to this little person right here, little Miss Ahsoka Tano.
Snips,
yes, and then of course the continuing adventures with Anakin and hello there. So and really the Clone Wars is told through 3 sets of eyes. It's told through Ahsoka, Anakin, and the clones, particularly the 501st, led by Captain Rex, who D. Baker, he's the voice of every single clone there is. So that's
dude, he changes each and every single one of them.
Like just subtle changes.
Like 45 characters in this show, and he's like, each one is a little bit different. That is freaking talent, dude.
Yes. And so you get this story building where you see the friendship between Ahsoka and Anakin, where at first Anakin wants nothing to do with her, and he reluctantly brings her on as his learner, and just kind of like tries to keep her to the side, and she's a spunky little thing, and just keeps going, and she eventually builds his trust and builds a rapport, and she learns from him, because one of the things that made Anakin so great is his rapport with the clones. Is he knew all the by first names. He
And
knew them
cared.
all. Yes,
Yeah.
he cared. And this
A
is
lot of the other Jedi and most of the other people in the universe, they treated them as they were disposable.
right. And that's and this will go to another thing that I'm going to touch on in a second here. And Anakin's entire story really is from episode 1 through 6. It's Anakin's story. It is Anakin's story, and his thing is attachment and the fear of losing that attachment. So we meet Anakin when he's 9. He gets taken away from his mom, and then in that same movie, he loses the father figure that he should have in Qui-Gon. And then in the second film, he loses his mom in his arms, and so that's another little someone that's been
another domino that fell. Yeah,
right, another domino that fell. And then going into the Clone Wars, at the end of season 5, Ahsoka walks away.
Yes. Oh God, that freaking episode was dope.
It's a great scene and
so freaking good.
And then in the season before that, there was a Jedi plan where they faked Obi-Wan's death, but didn't tell Anakin this. Yep. So again, he's been lied to, and has had people just loss and loss and loss and loss and loss. And then the ultimate betrayal is in Sith, when his anger, he kills his wife, and Palpatine then is like, even when he turned and he's saying only, prior, Palpatine's like, only through me can you learn a power greater than any Jedi. And then he's like, and then Anakin's like, I will pledge myself to whatever you want. And then Palpatine's like, to cheat death is really only a power only one has ever learned. But if we work together, we can.
Oh my God,
figure it out.
He freaking hoodwinked him so bad. Like,
oh yeah.
Honestly, I think Vader. It would have been. I think there might be a comic book out there somewhere. I don't think it's canon, but there's a comic book out there somewhere where he says that line, and freaking Vader like starts throwing the freaking house at Palpatine. Like, hey, I'm gonna freaking kill you for lying to me.
It actually is. I believe it is a canon book. I think.
Is it? Okay, cool. Because I need that to happen in my head canon.
It's like right after he's put it in the suit.
Yeah.
And it's not it's more the what have you done to me? Yeah. And he just starts force throwing everything at Palpatine, and Palpatine gives him a force
lightning. And I think
lightning basically says, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah, and this is another one of those things where Palpatine is playing the long game, where he's like, I know the weakness of this guy's suit is my main go-to power. It's all just a mind game with Palpatine. But yeah, the Clone Wars absolutely filled in a lot of the story elements for Anakin, which he made you care, or the stories made you care about Anakin. Right. They made you sympathize with him a lot more, and that it really showing how the Jedi kind of got lost among themselves in their own heads, in their own like up here, and they start lying to Anakin. They start doing dirty tricks, and they start siding with the politicians as opposed to doing what's right. There's a lot of information in there that I feel was lacking in the actual prequel movies that would have been great context.
And Revenge of the Sith is the best example of this, because the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars directly overlap with Revenge of the Sith. So, I mean, we get started and we get a brief reunion with Ahsoka and Anakin.
Yeah.
And right as they're, right before he's going to give her sabers again, Obi-Wan and Anakin have to head off to the Battle of Coruscant, because Palpatine's basically
rescue Palpatine. Yeah.
Right. So in that one moment, it's just when Ahsoka says, Anakin, and he turns around and she just says, good luck. And he smiles at her. And it's just like, that's the last time they see each other.
Yeah.
And it just hurts because we as viewers, we're ahead of all these characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave Filoni, the way he writes these stories, it's freaking genius, man. Like, he understands those characters and he knows how to make everything kind of fit together with what's already established as canon, which is really cool. Like I hate it when creators come in there and they're like, well, this doesn't quite work, so we're gonna like try and fix it.
No.
Like I've never seen Filoni try and fix something. He always tries to maneuver the story to make it all fit cohesively together, which
Right.
I really appreciate that. It's beautiful to watch. I know
Now,
I'm getting really weird about Star Wars. I do actually love Star Wars very, very much. I know I talk a lot of crap about it and I have fun with that, but when I start thinking about these storylines and I start thinking about these characters, man, it really does hit me in the freaking nostalgia.
right. And going with the scene that you don't like, where I'm gonna go help Master Mace. Oh, I'm gonna chop his arm off. Oh, no, I'm a Sith now. Okay.
Yeah.
In the second to the last episode of the Clone Wars, Rex goes off to do a report, and
Clone Wars started out as just a Star Wars cartoon and then ended with a total kick in
oh,
the
Lunar
face.
Girl, right
Lunar
there.
Girl's 100%. Yeah.
Yes. So they so Ahsoka's just on the bridge, and then you pan down, you cut to the brig where Maul's in his Beskar holding cell, which is just beautiful. And then his eyes just light up.
Yeah.
And then you hear the audio from Revenge of the Sith. And then so it's, you must choose. Don't listen to him. And then the unlimited power. And then Ahsoka is feeling all of this.
Yeah.
And then she just drops a little bit. And then you hear, and then it was Hayden Christensen. Then it was Matt Lanter going, "What have I done?" And that line just carries so much more weight now because of how it's affecting Ahsoka.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, her perspective of the whole story really helps flush out the whole situation and the whole ending of this saga. Or not ending, I guess it's kind of like that midway point, but for Anakin to become Darth Vader.
Right.
It really now flushes that whole system out.
And now
it's awesome.
Going back,
it's so freaking cool.
I know, great. And going back to what you were talking about, the voice actors in the booth, the episode before that, when Darth Maul says, you don't know what you're doing. We're all gonna burn. We're all gonna die. They saw a clip of Sam in the booth, and he's just
he's jumping up and down. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sam, is it Sam Witwer?
Yes.
Sam Witwer. That dude's freaking awesome. He's been around. He's a legacy Star Wars character, as far as I'm concerned, between The Force Unleashed and all those video games, and then
Galen Merrick.
Yeah, and then his going into the Clone Wars as
Darth
a bunch
Maul.
of different. He played a lot of characters, right? It's not just Darth Maul.
Primarily Maul.
And it's really cool to watch. Like I said, we talked about this earlier about watching voice actors. It's really fun to watch them kind of bounce each other and be in the booth together and doing lines. It's
right.
It's something I wish, like, someday I really hope I'm able to do that.
Right. And then going back to what I was saying, what you were saying, how a lot of folks viewed the clones as disposable.
Yeah.
Whatever. It makes this one scene, which in the final episode, it's really one of the greatest episodes ever. Because the final, it's about a 25-minute episode, but the last third of it, there's no dialogue. It's all music and just setting, and you get this scene with this mass grave, and where Ahsoka and Rex have buried all the clones, because that had never been done before. So they've got their helmets on pikes, and it's just marking each clone.
Yeah,
and then.
Is that the clones that had Ahsoka's markings on their helmet? Is that the scene that I'm thinking of?
Some of them were, yes. That was that was a separate group of the 501st. That was the 332nd.
Okay.
And then it was Rex was there, and Jesse the ARC Trooper.
Okay, cool.
So
yeah, that final moment, like, I know we get to see Darth Vader showed up later on.
Oh my God,
and the attention to detail with that too, because this goes back to the original trilogy. Well, this is when the freaking nostalgia and the feels really start working. Is when they see that scene in the Clone Wars, that final episode, and Darth Vader looks up in the sky, and his visors are still red, like they were from the original freaking movie. and I'm like, oh my, it nerds me out so much. I love it. The attention to detail is perfect.
And the symbolism there, because you can see Anakin's eye through the lens. So the symbolism there is, yes, there's this, because from when Ahsoka drops her saber to the time we see Darth Vader, that's about a 15-year time jump. Because you can tell because of the type of shuttle that lands, and that there are stormtroopers there, and so you've got there that the symbolism is Anakin still inside. There's this machine, this monster now, but inside it's still Anakin, and that goes all the way, and then this carries all the way into Jedi, where again his whole thing: attachment, loss of attachment, and what finally brings Anakin back is the ultimate attachment, his son. The strongest attachment. It is what finally gets through all the cybernetics and the metal and the dark side of the Force and speaks to him. And when I was younger and I first saw Return of the Jedi, I was like most folks, oh, the Jedi, Luke Skywalker, he's bringing the Jedi back. As I got older, I thought this is more what they're talking about, whereas Jedi can be used as a singular or a plural word. What I'm thinking is the Jedi is actually the singular, where the Jedi is the return of the Jedi is the return of Anakin Skywalker.
Gotcha. Okay. So a lot of people think it's Luke. Like Luke officially, because it is also true. You could say Luke officially becomes a Jedi when he faces his father in the Emperor again. That's his official, like, I guess one of the trials that he had to go through.
Correct.
And that's what made him a Jedi. So it can be true in multiple ways. I don't think there's any reason for anybody to be like, no, you're wrong. It's actually this. I think both can be true.
Yes.
I think it's Return of the Jedi, as in Luke is returning the Jedi to their former glory, and also Anakin is back. Darth Vader dies and Anakin comes back.
Which is what made the news recently with Hayden has just hit me in the feels all over again, because we know he's going to be in the Obi-Wan series.
Yeah, I'm really worried about that, man.
I'm actually not. I actually really trust Deborah Chow. I mean, she is a Dave and John.
Yeah.
She is a Dave and John student, so I'm going to trust her with that. There's a scene that's going to be toward the end of the series that is going to make the phrase, when I last saw you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. It's going to carry so much more weight to it.
Be very careful. Be very careful with that. I don't want to see that, man. Like that, to me, when I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. That was Mustafar. That was the big conclusion. That was that was 20 years ago. They haven't seen each other for that long.
Tears rolling.
Surely he should be dead by now. Like Tarkin is like, there's no freaking way this old Jedi dude is gonna still be kicking around. Like, no, dude. The last time they saw each other was on Mustafar. Vader took that freaking loss real hard. He's been carrying a lot of salt about that. If you mess with that, I'm really stressed out that it's gonna like demolish that original trilogy dynamic that happened between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. I mean, it just
one thing I trust and I trust Dave and John on this is they're not going to really screw with original canon.
I hope you're right. I really do hope you're right.
I'm
the salty nerd. I'm gonna stay
salty.
Stay salty for it.
And then we get the news that he is not only going to be in the Obi-Wan series, he's going to be in the Ahsoka series.
Now that I'm interested, because they can do whatever the heck they want with that.
Oh my god!
Seriously, Ahsoka can bump into Darth Vader 1.5 million times. I don't care. Like that's totally fine with me. No. Am I wrong?
Oh god, no.
Why?
No.
Well, okay. You got to tell me why.
Because now we're going into another series, Rebels. Okay.
Okay.
So we go from.
I never watched Rebels. There's only one episode of Rebels I watched, which I thought was really freaking cool. Was when they were in that Sith temple pyramid thing.
And this is it. This is it.
The eyes coming out of the freaking mask, and he's like,
"Okay, we got this.
Revenge is not the Jedi way." Like that whole freaking scene was cool. Yeah,
that whole thing. So, a couple episodes before that, Vader is in his ship, and he's taking on the rebels, a small rebel fleet, and he's just laying waste to them.
Oh, of course.
So Ezra, Kanan, the crew of the Ghost, and Ahsoka are going out to face him. They don't know who he is yet.
Mm-hmm.
So and they can feel Kanan and Ezra and Ahsoka can feel the Force. So they try to reach out to find out who he is, and then Vader just turns his head and goes, "The apprentice lives," and Ahsoka freaks out.
Yeah,
freaks out. So
I'm getting goosebumps right
now. so now, from there, this is where we have that time jump scene at the end of Clone Wars. Vader goes back to that crash site where he believes Ahsoka has crashed, finds her lightsaber, and then looks up and sees the Convor, the owl,
Mm-hmm.
and he now knows she's alive.
Okay.
So
I didn't realize that those two things took place in that chronological order.
So Rebels takes place right about 4 or 5 years before A New Hope.
Okay.
So, and this is about that time frame where that final Clone Wars scene is. It's in that same time area.
Okay.
And so then you move to the end of. So then you move to those last 2 episodes of season 2, Shadow of the Apprentice, and where you get the Vader and Ahsoka standoff, and where Ahsoka is, "I won't leave you, not this time."
Yeah.
And then the Vader with the half cracked mask,
"And you will die." Yeah. Freaking such a good line.
That's the last time she saw him.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, canon, Ahsoka has kind of cut herself off from the cosmic force. She's still in tune with the living force and whatnot.
Okay.
But so if she's cut off from the cosmic force, she can't hear force ghosts, because so it's going to be Luke who's going to find her and tell her the story of how Vader redeemed himself and how he fulfilled his role as the chosen one. And then when Ahsoka opens herself up to it, I swear to God, if I hear "Hey Snips" and she turns around and there's Anakin, or she goes Hayden Christensen, I'm gonna be crying like a baby.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So it's after his death that this show takes place. That makes more sense.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I would love that if they had a relationship again, and Hayden Christensen gets to show up and be like the all-knowing Force ghost. That's a pretty freaking cool idea.
Yes.
I'm a big time Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy fan. That's, to me, that's the true sequels to the movies. And I'm really looking forward. I know this I know this storyline is going to be a little muddled because we have Clone Wars and we have Rebels all to deal with, and they've kind of changed things a little bit from the books that I read. But really looking forward. Hold on. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ahsoka search for Ezra and Zahn or Thrawn, thank you. I get the author's name. His character.
Zahn and Thrawn, yeah.
When I get Thrawn out there and he's out, they're exploring the way outer rim of the galaxy. I think
unknown region.
A lot of potential there to be one of the best freaking storylines we have. And as long as Filoni and Favreau are on top of that, like dealing with the storyline, I'm in good hands. I like that.
I think we're good. I think we're in really good hands here. And I actually wanted to say when you were talking to Luna Girl, right?
Goosebumps.
Right. Come on.
We're just a bunch of nerds.
So when you were talking with Luna Girl and you had your headcanon story about how Luke got his green saber.
Yes.
And I was a little jumpy on that, and I said no, his Qui-Gon's saber got returned to the Jedi Temple, and you poo-pooed me.
Did they though?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Because
No.
I actually did some homework on this.
Oh, okay.
And you're kind of half right. Because after Empire, from Empire to Jedi is about a year break. Is a year jump. So Luke has to find the pieces to build a new saber because he doesn't have one.
Yep.
And so I believe because we know that the Kyber mine on Jeddah has been destroyed, and the Kyber temple on Ilum, the entrance has been destroyed to where it's near impossible to get in.
Okay.
So Luke does go back to Tatooine, to Obi-Wan's hut, finds the components to make his saber, because Luke's green saber is exactly the same as Obi-Wan's, the hilt.
Oh, the hilt is very similar. Yes. Okay.
So, and then Obi-Wan, I believe this was in Shadows of the Empire, that book, where Obi-Wan left a recipe on how to make synthetic kyber crystals, because Qui-Gon's saber goes back to the temple, and the actual kyber crystal, the semi-sentient kyber crystal that calls to that Jedi to use, gets put in an arch that leads into a meditation area.
I reject your reality and substitute my own. That is terrible. That is terrible. You're telling me Luke's epic green lightsaber that he used to defeat the Emperor and Darth Vader is synthetic? Get out of here. No.
Sorry. Yep.
No.
Sorry.
No, I reject it. Nope. That is Qui-Gon Jinn. That is his crystal. Obi-Wan took the crystal away from the Jedi Temple when it was falling, and he took it with him to Tatooine. He put it in his little chest, and he left it there to remember his master by, and that's it. That's what happened. I don't care about none of that nonsense with your freaking, what do you do, make soup? And then it's just stupid. His recipe for a crystal. Get out of here. No, I reject it. All right, man. Well, it's been an hour. Man, that flew by. That was a great discussion.
That really did.
Did you have any final thoughts or anything like that you wanted to polish this up with?
No. If anyone wants to get a hold of me, I'm usually on the Instagram at JokerVoice71. I do have a little YouTube channel. I haven't done anything with it in a while, so who knows? Maybe I'll find some folks who want to come on board and do some content, and we can start from there.
All right, right on, man. Hey, you and I need to do a little project together with our voice acting. We need to figure something out.
Yeah.
I'm down. Well, animation, I don't really care. We'll do whatever.
Cool. I like it.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being in the chat. I know it's a bunch of red fivers out there. Thank you guys so much. We really do appreciate you guys being here every single week and supporting a fellow Red 5 member. Thank you guys so much. If you're not already, I know there's a couple of them in here, but if you're not already, go to saltynerdclub.com and join the Salty Nerd community. We have a fantastic group of people over there, and you guys get a ton of exclusive content. We put out so much stuff out there. What's up?
And always keep a smile on your face.
That would have been perfect after my pitch. That's awesome. saltynerdclub.com. Join the community. You got a ton of extra content. We do blooper reels and extra videos and 4 different podcasts a month that are exclusive for members only. So if you like our normal stuff, if you listen to our YouTube channel or listen to the podcast, consider becoming a club member. We do a ton of extra stuff for our club members, and we love that community. Thank you guys so much for your support. Joker, I'm going to have you say that one more time because it was too perfect to only do it once.
All right, kiddies. Do what Mr. J says. Do what's fun. Be safe. And always keep a smile on your face.
Very nice. Thank you, sir. All right, everybody. Have a great night. We'll catch you next Monday. See ya.
Toodles.